All right, let's start by creating a folder for this tutorial. We'll start by going on my PC. I will enter one of the drives here, right click, new folder. Let's name it JavaScript tutorial. I have open VS Code here by drag and drop. We're gonna put it over there and we'll just save it. And of course, we trust the author because we are the author. Hopefully, you are familiar with VS Code and HTML and CSS. So we'll start by clicking this icon right here and we will create one index.html document. In here, classically, we'll have one exclamation point and enter to get our starting code ready. Let's name the page Learning JavaScript. Inside the body we can have an h1. I'm very sick of writing hello world every time I see a new tutorial and they force you to write this thing. So we're gonna be more creative here and I'm gonna write yo Mr. White. And if you know who said this phrase, pause the video right now and go in the comments and write the name of the character who said that, and I'm gonna go and put hearts and like your comment immediately. Now that you're back, let's save the document and of course we can right click and open with live server. If you don't have this, it's just a plugin. You can go here and it's called live server. You can go on the extensions and install it. So we'll have it open here. If you have Windows and you go up here, you can adjust two windows in the same screen, and that's what we're going to do. So we'll have them side by side and we'll see what's going on. Next thing we are going to do, we'll click this one again to create our JavaScript file. So let's name it script.js. And this is how we usually name our JavaScript file. It's similar to CSS that you name it style most of the time. And next thing, of course, we have to do is to link this JavaScript file. If we had a CSS file named style.css, the way we link the CSS is usually inside the head. Let's go under the title and we say link tab, and in here we press dot slash and we select the styles.css. However, the JavaScript, we don't use it in the head, and there is a big reason for that. We usually link it in the end of the body. Let's say that you have here a million things. You go right behind the closing tab of the body and you link it there. We're gonna write script. Inside here you can write JavaScript actually, but it's not convenient. It's like you write all your CSS inside the HTML. It's gonna be a mess. That's why we have it separately. It's exactly the same logic as we have a separate file for CSS. We're gonna have a separate file for JavaScript. However, you have to know that in here you are absolutely free to start writing JavaScript. However, you notice in here we have the href. For the script, we're gonna use a source and we'll do the same thing, dot slash, and we select the JavaScript. Let's save this one, close this one, and let's move to JavaScript. We can actually close the Explorer as well. We can give one alert message so we know that this script is properly linked through the HTML. So let's do that. We just write alert. You can write al and press tab if you wanna. So right after the alert, we have to open parentheses. So every time we write text in JavaScript, we have to put them in quotes because alert is like a command. So we call this string technically, but it's actually what it is just plain text. And we say that whatever I write in here, it's not commands, it's not nothing, it's just text. You can write in here whatever message you want. I wrote, you managed to link your JavaScript file properly. Are you a pro? And you have to notice just the syntax, how we did it. It's alert, open closing parentheses, and inside quotes. As a beginner, it's better to use double quotes. And let's just save this. Make sure you saved your index. And I already see my message running over there. Boom. It's linked properly. So usually when we are done with one line of code, we put a semicolon in the end. So this message now, we don't want to have it every time we refresh. It's an alert, and an alert, it means that it shows a window on top of your whole website. We do have a more discreet way for us to send messages to ourselves in order to debug stuff and see if our code is working or not. Let's maximize this browser window at the moment. We're gonna go right click and inspect, or you can press these buttons here, more tools and developer tools. You open this one, yeah? But right now is one next to another. If we put it back there, it's gonna be a mess. We're not gonna be able to see a lot of stuff. So what I want you to do is to go here on these three dots, press them, and then switch the orientation like that. So we have the yo Mr. White on top, and underneath we have this one. Right now, usually we are in elements where you can inspect HTML and CSS. and you can see the box model over there. Right now we're gonna switch to console. It's right next to it, the next tab right here. There is a way, instead of interrupting the whole site, that you can send messages only in the console. So even if you have the site live on the server, you can do changes and nobody's gonna see these messages actually. So this way we can be more discreet, and this is how we usually do it. So before we use the alert, now we'll use something else. It's called console.log, and write like that, console. When you start writing it, of course, you can find it here and press tab, .log, and we open parentheses here. So the .log thingy is exactly that, like the alert was. And in here we can write a message. We open with double quotes, of course, because what we're gonna write now, it's just a body of text, or a string as we call it here. And I can write, will this show in the console? Save. Boom. The moment we saved, of course, you have to have it open with live server. If you didn't see it, try refreshing. It means you don't have live server extension. So by refreshing it, immediately we see the message here. So this is how we are gonna communicate with the system at the moment for now on. And of course, we never forget to put a semicolon in the end of the line. Let's save it again. We can actually do so many stuff with console.log. Let's try another one, console.log. We open parentheses, and now we'll not use a line of text. So I will not use the double quotes. We'll just do some math. Let's say 3 plus 3. Then we just put the semicolon. Let's save this thing, and we get the first console log, it's this sentence, and the second console log, it's on the next line, and it says 6. It has the logic to do math, and you can do even more complicated stuff. Let's try something like console.log, open parentheses, and here I can do like 3 plus 5 multiplied by 8 minus 20 divided by 4. We can even use parentheses here and there. Let's save that. So the answer of whatever I wrote in here is 59. And of course I forgot my last semicolon. I hope you noticed. So now, let's say a theoretical scenario that it can happen in real life super easily, very soon when you find a job, yeah? Let's say that you build a site, but it's something like Facebook, or let's say it's something like Tinder, yeah? One of these sites that you go inside and create a profile. The first time you go in there, they ask you a couple of questions, like what's your first name, what's your last name, what's your birthday, and stuff like that. So all this information that they ask you, and you type in there, the moment you press send or save, they save this information in some special boxes. So they can show this information the moment somebody is visiting your profile, or if you message somebody, they show it there too. So they have this information saved somewhere in a special box, and every time they need it, they call it back, yeah? Let's see how we can create these boxes. For instance, we can say let x equals 3. Now I just created a box that's called x, and I gave it a value. This value is a number, the number 3. So if I go now and do console.log, open parentheses, and I write x plus 5, semicolon. If I press save, what do you think it's gonna show there? And exactly as you guessed, it showed 8 here. So the logic is that x is one box and we gave it a value. So the moment we write here x, it understands that whatever you put in here, it's going to replace it with x. So I can change this one, I can make it 8. So now it's 8 plus 5, 13. We'll do some more complicated math in the next lesson. If you are interested, you have to wait. Right now, we'll go back to our Facebook example and we'll create a couple of boxes, yeah? So instead of the x, I'm going to create here another box. I'm going to say let first name equals, now I have to write a string, yeah? This was a number right here, so I don't put on quotes. When I'm going to write text, I have to put on quotes inside. Let's say first name, Chikorito, and semicolon. You notice that first name is not in quotes, and that's because this is a box. It's not just plain text, just like the X. This is something special. It's not just plain text. And because we wrote it right after the let, JavaScript understands that this is the name of a box and creates a box. Now we can delete the X. So what else are they gonna ask us when we log in? Let last name equals, we put a string again. The last name is Barracuda of this user. What can we do? I want you to notice how we write here. The first word starts with all small letters and the next one starts with capital. This is called camel notation, and this is how we write stuff in JavaScript, because the thing is that if you name your first box name 1 and your next box name 2, and it's super important to spend time in order to describe properly what you put in there. we don't write like name 1, name 2, and we put them like that, because one of your coworkers will come inside and he will understand nothing when he sees name 1, name 2. He will not understand what is first name, last name, boom, properly. Let's see how we can call them. We go console.log and we just write inside first name, semicolon, save, and it's giving us the first name right here. So we have access by calling just the box. It's giving us the information, what's inside. And this actually makes sense because there are so many users, like millions of users in Facebook, and nobody's going inside every time you create a profile to start typing in HTML everybody's name. They create these boxes. When you sign in, you assign your name inside this box, and when they build the site, they say under the photo of this person, just display the first name and the last name next to it. So we can copy this line, paste it there, and just put here last name, save, and it's gonna show us. If we want one next to each other, we can press here plus last name, save, and here we have it next to each other, but however they actually don't have a space inside. So how can we put a space in there? Pause the video a little bit and think about it. So if you unpaused, the answer is this one. We go in the plus and we add the double quotes that this one is supposed to be just plain text, and we put a space in here, and then we put another plus though. So we say first name plus space plus last name, and we save this, and now finally under your photo you can see clearly your first name, space, and last name displayed properly like human beings. Let's continue a little bit with what other things they ask about you. We're gonna write a couple of more boxes. We're gonna say let country equals, let town equals, let birth year equals. And now I want you to pause the video and go inside and fill in the information for all this stuff. So country for me, I put Greece, semicolon. I hope that you didn't forget it. Next one, I put town for me, it's Athens, inside double quotes and semicolon. And then year of birth, we don't put double quotes because it's a number, and the numbers, we don't put them inside double quotes. Only we put words in double quotes, and they are strings, and the numbers, we want them to stay in numbers because we want to be able to do math with them. So the year of birth of Chikorito right here, it's probably 1999. So this is the year that Chikorito was born, and we keep it like that, yeah? So if you find a better name than birth year, let me know in the comments, because in the beginning I wrote birthday year, but I saw that birth, day, and year, it's confusing because we put only the year, so I removed the day. Anyways, but these are valid questions when you name all your boxes right here. So let's stop calling them boxes and start calling them variables, because these ones are variables after the let. So I will say it again, all these questions sound stupid if I should write birthday year or birth year, but you actually have to spend time naming your variables super properly. Because if you go in a company and somebody opens your code and sees that they can't understand anything, you're gonna have a big problem. But on the other hand, if somebody opens your code and everything looks neat and understandable, everybody's gonna like you and everybody's gonna wanna promote you very soon, okay? So now you have an exercise to do. I want you to pause the video and think how we can display the age down there, because when you sign in on Facebook, they don't ask you what's your age and you put it. They ask you what is your birthday and you put your birthday, and then somehow they do some magic and they display the age down there. So we'll say here console.log, and inside you have to write whatever you need in order to display the age down there. Pause the video now and come back for the solution. So there are two ways to do it. We put here the current year, 2024, and we subtract the birth year. And you don't write here minus 1999, but you put the birth year variable because we want to be dynamic. In Facebook, they have million users, and you don't go one by one to change all the birthdays for every person. So you put the variable in here, and automatically for every person, this variable is gonna vary and do the math for every person separately. Let's press save. So here we see that Chikorito is 25 years old. However, right here we have a number. If you build Facebook like that, every year you have to go on every profile and change the number manually. and from 24 you have to do it 25 next year and 26 next year. So how we do it, we create another box here. Some of you hopefully did it already, and if you did, write me in the comments because I want to personally congratulate you. So we create another variable here and we call it current year equals 2024, and down there, instead of writing just a number, we put the variable current year. Save. So now we get the same result, 25, but when the year is changing, we only change it once over here and it changes for everybody else. So they can ask you a couple of more things, that the answer is not a string and it's not a number and something else. The answer is, for instance, let smoker equals. Here it's something that we answer with true or false. And underneath that it has let yoga, and because Chikorito is a smoker, she is not doing yoga probably. On yoga she clicked no, so it got assigned false. So let's say we had a lot of other options here. Let gym equals, and Chikorito didn't click yes or no on any of the rest. So we said when we put double quotes in text, it's called string. This one, it's called number, when you put just number without quotes. And this one is a new one, we call it boolean. So let's say that we don't know how this one is gonna be called. Because Chikorito was lazy, she didn't put an answer, and we are not sure how this one is gonna be defined. We can try something else in console.log. So we write console.log, and inside we're gonna write type of, so it's the first option right here, we click it, space, and we put the name of the variable. So let's say first name, save. So it tells us that first name is a string. It gives the answer here. If we go right here and press Alt, Shift, and down, it's going to copy the line. So let's write also what is the type of birth year, what is the type of smoker, and what is the type of gym. Save. So we see first name is string, birthday is number, smoker it's boolean because true or false, and the gym is undefined. So if you have some box absolutely empty, it's called undefined because it's not yet defined. And of course you can go later on in the code and assign it to something. Gym equals true. So if I save now, we see that the gym, even though it's undefined up here, when the code is running and it gets here, it just got defined as true, and now the gym is a boolean. So let's delete all these lines until the gym. And what I want you to do next is console.log a whole phrase. When you visit Chikorito's profile, it's gonna say, I am Chikorito space Barracuda. I live in Athens, Greece, and I am space and her age. All of this using only the variables, so it's gonna be a dynamic way. Pause the video, try this exercise, and come back for the answer. So of course we write console.log, we open parentheses, and we start with I'm, so we put double quotes, I'm space plus first name plus double quotes space plus last name plus. So now we can put a dot, say I am from space plus town plus double quotes, comma, space, outside plus country plus comma, and I am space plus current year minus birth year plus double quotes, space, years old dot. So if you save this and you get this message, and this happens because in here we actually tell it to do mathematics, 2024 minus 1999. So this is mathematics, but this is not mathematics. So what we actually have to do is put this inside the parentheses. So this way the system understands that we are not asking him to do mathematics with strings because this doesn't make sense. We're only asking it to do in here mathematics and not there, to keep everything like that. So we put save now, and finally we don't have errors, we don't have nothing, and we have I'm Chikorito Barracuda, I am from Athens, Greece, and I'm 25 years old. Exactly what we asked for. So I hope you didn't feel devastated when you found an error down there on your code. This is why we learn, and this is why we do these exercises, because next time you see some error, you're gonna sit down and think more clearly, or you can go on and Google, or you can copy paste your code on ChatGPT and ask, I want to do this and I get this error, why and how can I solve it? So as many different errors you encounter early on, the more experienced you'll get the moment you find a job. And it's better to find errors now than to find errors inside an office, right? So be happy when you find errors, because this means that you are learning and you're becoming way more experienced than you ever thought you would be. We said enough for our first lesson. It's too much information, but don't worry, because most of these things we're gonna be repeating later on. And as I promised, the next lesson is gonna have some mathematics. I know some of you are psyched and you can't wait to try some mathematics, and some of you are like, oh my god, I hate mathematics, I don't want to go to the next lesson. So write me in the comments below in which group you belong, happy or unhappy, for the next lesson. And I'm honestly hoping that I'm gonna see both of you guys back for the next lesson.